Hey all, happy Monday. So this is just sort of I guess a fairly discretionary video for you guys, sort of a FYI. So I want to talk about the state of the presidential race as we roll towards early November. And number one, right, y'all are going to vote, right? Because we do know that of all the age demographics, the age demographic least likely to vote are 18 to 24-year-olds. So come on, people, raise your game. I want y'all to register. I'll send out information shortly about how to do that through the Nevada Secretary of State's webpage. Nevada makes it pretty easy to register and to vote while still maintaining electoral integrity, mind you. All right, so yeah, kind of a state of the race here. And we'll focus really more on the top of the ticket, right? Obviously, Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. Um, yeah, right now we would say statewide, we have that Senate race. Right now, it looks like incumbent Senator Jackie Rosen is favored over Republican challenger Sam Brown. I've seen the gap as big as 10 points and as small as about 5 points. So probably Rosen wins that. We'll see when we talk about Congress that generally congressional incumbents who run for re-election get re-elected. it's not a sure thing, but it's a very likely thing. And I believe probably the same obtains for the 4 House seats that are up for grabs here in Nevada in November. The one up north, Mark Amidei, right, Republican. He's been there forever. He'll be there as long as he wants to be there. And then you have down here in the valley, you have what? Dina Titus, Democrat. Robert Horsford, Democrat. Susie Lee, Democrat. I think all 3 are favored to win re-election. Again, incumbents usually win. Not a guarantee. I'm not guaranteeing the outcome of any of those 3 House races, but pretty likely the Democratic incumbents win those 3. All right. Oh, sorry, it's the old thing, right? What's the best way to predict what's going to happen tomorrow? What happened today? It's not very exciting, but it's largely true. But again, top of the ticket. All right, where does the race stand? I just read a little piece from the New York Times, and it said, starting this Monday and for all subsequent Mondays until November 5th, they're going to do a state of the race based on the most recent polling data. So I glanced at it briefly. What's their conclusion? And it won't shock anybody out there in TV land. Right? It's too close to call. It's 50-50. It's ungodly close. Okay. It's a coin flip. It's a jump ball. Yeah. So we know, right, that Joe Biden was on track to lose. All right. So switching over to Kamala Harris has made it 50-50. So Democrats, in essence, are thrilled. Right? They're back in the game. And Donald Trump is not thrilled. He wants Joe Biden back on the ballot. But it is 50-50. According to the Times, it looks closer right now than any modern election, including 2020, which was ungodly close, including 2016, which was ungodly close, including 2000, super close, 2004, very close. This is going to be closer than all of those right now based on the polling data. Holy man. You paid for the whole seat, but you only need the edge. So that's where we are, people. And let me tell you really quickly, right? Who's going to win the national popular vote? Kamala Harris. That seems highly likely. It's been a long time since a Republican won the national popular vote, right? But that doesn't count for anything. That has symbolic value, I guess, but it doesn't actually determine who's our next president. You think the last Republican to win the national popular vote, correct me if I'm wrong here, I think it was George W. Bush in 2004, where he barely defeated John Kerry in the popular vote. And he won the college, which is what matters. So in that sense, right, it's all about who wins the college, the majority of delegates. 270 to win, right? That means that what we really have in America, in terms of our presidential elections, we have 50 separate state elections and the District of Columbia. If you aggregate all of those 51 elections, you get the national popular vote. But what matters, right, are the 50 separate state elections and the District of Columbia. And in all states except 2, it's winner take all. Right? So if you win Pennsylvania by a single popular vote, you get all the delegates. If you win Pennsylvania by 5 million votes, you still just get all the delegates. Right? So, who will win the national popular vote? Very likely Kamala Harris. Same old, same old. Who's going to win the college? That's 50-50 right now. That could change. Typically things don't change quickly in American politics. So I think it's ungodly close right now. It'll probably be similarly close on November 4th. But we'll see. And what it boils down to, right? Because most states, we already know who's going to win. California, Kamala Harris by a mile. Texas, Trump by a modest amount. Florida, Trump by a modest amount. And that tells us something, by the way, doesn't it? Right? The fact that Kamala Harris will win California by a ton. She'll pile up extra votes, in a sense. Right? Because she only needs to win California by 1 vote. She'll probably win it by millions. But either way, the result's the same, right? All the delegates. She'll pile up huge margins in California. She'll pile up huge margins in the state of New York. Right? That's how Democrats always win the national popular vote in recent decades. They win big in blue states, like big. And no state's bigger than California, obviously. 40 million people. So Democrats rack up huge extra votes in states like California and New York. What are the 2 comparable states for Republicans? Texas and Florida. Right now, it looks like Trump is going to win Texas by about 5 points. He's going to win Florida by about 5 points, roughly. He's not going to rack up huge wins. He'll rack up wins, but not huge wins. Right? Whereas Harris will rack up huge wins in California and New York. So then you can start to see very quickly. That's why Democrats win the national popular vote. In the big states that are blue, they win massively. And for Trump, right, and Republicans, in red states, they also win those big states, the big red states, but they only win them by a modest amount. Boom. So that's highly likely that Harris will win the popular vote, but that counts for nothing other than symbolic value. 50 separate state elections get to 270 delegates. Winner take all. And that means, right, in most states, it doesn't really matter because you already know who's going to win. There are 7 states where it's going to be close. That's where the action will be, in 7 states. Okay, it is the Midwest-ish states: Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania, parts of Pennsylvania are kind of Midwestern. Parts of it are East Coast. But Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, 50-50. Out here in the Southwest, Arizona and Nevada. Yay, Nevada. 50-50. And then Georgia and North Carolina in the South. 7 states. That's where the winner of the college will be determined, in those 7 states. And in all 7, it's kind of too close to call. The polling shows that the gap between them is within the margin of error for polling data. So I know that the scenario most likely for Harris is she wins Pennsylvania, if she wins, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, but then she'll still need 1 more electoral vote that she can win in Nebraska, of all places, which is one of the 2 states that does not have winner take all. In Nebraska, the winner of the statewide popular vote gets the 2 delegates represented by the 2 senators that they get. And then they do the other seats by congressional district, House district. And there's a House district in Nebraska that tends to go Democratic because at the center of it is the big city for Nebraska of Omaha. So Harris is hoping to pick up that last needed delegate in Omaha, Nebraska. And Republicans, by the way, have been trying to switch Nebraska to winner take all to rule that out, but it's too late, and it'll be non-winner take all this time around at least. Maine also has a similar dealio. And there I think actually Republicans are going to pick up one of those congressional district delegates, but Harris will win the statewide vote. So it's almost like they cancel each other out. But for Harris to win by winning Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, she also needs that delegate out of Nebraska. So Trump's play, right, is his best chances, I think, are in Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina. And if he were to win all of those, right, then he would need to win that delegate in Omaha, Nebraska. Or he would need one of those three states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. And in all of those, again, I would say Harris is a little favored in those three kind of Midwesty states. Trump is favored in the southern and southwestern states, but only by such vanishingly small margins that it's essentially a coin flip. So that's the state of the race, people, okay? That's the state of the race. And by the way, right, that is how we determine how many delegates each state gets to the college, right? How many senators do you have? Every state has 2. How many members of the House of Reps do you have? So California, right, they get what? They get two delegates for their senators and 53 for their House delegation, 55 in total, because it's 40 million people. How many does Nevada get? 2 for our senators, 4 members of the House, 6. So I think of all the swing states, we're the smallest, but we're small but mighty because we're 50-50. All right, so state of the race. If you were a betting person right now, you would want to wait and see if it gets if one candidate or the other pulls out ahead in the weeks ahead. Because right now, right, it's kind of 50-50. So how lucky do you feel lucky, punk? That Clint Eastwood quote. You feeling lucky, punk? Because right now it's kind of 50-50. It's like playing roulette. All right, thanks all. We'll check in. Maybe I'll try to check in every Monday. I don't know, every other Monday. Or maybe if the race's dynamics change in some significant way. I don't think they will. I think we're rolling into a 50-50 election. Take care all.